and you spoke with several members inside the inner circle that he has, including guys like Chris Paul, the Clippers guard, and what CP3 seems to believe he's going to be there 2020, right?
Well, yeah, and Chris Paul was an interesting viewpoint because he did not go to Rio, and he's got a 7-year-old son that really gave him a hard time about it and was old enough to say, hey, Dad, why aren't you there playing? And that's what Paul pointed out to Phelps, and what he said to me is that, look, let's see what happens in 2 years when, Boomer Phelps is only 3, and that's not old enough to say, Dad, why aren't you there? But it's old enough for Phelps to look at him and say, gee, if I swim this time, he might actually remember it. He might actually take some of it in. And, his wife, Nicole, said maybe, 2024 in Los Angeles, if that's where the Olympics are. Phelps will be 38, 39 years old, swim one event or two. I just think it's all on the table right now, and I think we should all consider him very much retired right now. But I think that anything can happen in the next 2 to 7 years.
Tim, he made Olympic history with his accomplishments, but he also made a little bit of history with his social media presence down there, and especially the Phelps face, the very focused, intimidating Phelps face. Did you talk to him about that at all? What was his reaction to that?
Yeah, we had a funny moment. There were two things that were funny. One is that I interviewed a gentleman who was in rehab with Phelps, and all the people that knew him when they were in rehab and knew him as this guy who came out of his shell and was this jovial guy and this young kid. He was younger than a lot of people there. They saw that Phelps face and thought, that's like the funniest thing ever, because this is not some intimidating, nasty guy. This is a fun-loving, basically young adult. But the other thing is, I was out to dinner with Phelps in Scottsdale when we were doing the story, and his Intel commercial with Jim Parsons came on the TV screen in the restaurant, and he was doing the Phelps face with Jim Parsons, and he just kind of looked up at it and shook his head, and he said, "That's my commercial." I said, "Yeah, that's your commercial," and he's just having fun with it. He thinks that was funny. He thinks he was caught in an unusual moment, and he's very good friends with Chad Leclos, the guy that was shadowboxing in the scene. He has a pretty good sense of the absurdity of all media, whether it's social or mainstream or anything. He understands how crazy it all is. I mean, his kid has an Instagram account with tens of thousands of followers, so he gets the humor in all of this.
And so, and I also saw in your piece where he is not putting any of his medals on display, right? Is that right? Did he put them away in a case?
Yeah, yep. And that's been the case since he won his first one in 2004. He just keeps them in a safe place and doesn't have them framed on the walls of his home. And I suppose some of that could be common sense too. If you tell people that your medals are displayed in your home, you're sort of asking somebody to come in and rob your home. But no, and I think with him there's a symbolic thing to that too, which is that he doesn't want to be connected to what he's done in the past every day and have to look at those medals. He knows what he's done. He knows where they are, and at the same time he's also trying to work through his own legacy and figure out what happened. It's all happened so fast. He said he made a trip to China this fall with Nicole and Boomer, and he said it was the first time he really was able to process everything that happened 8 years ago in China. And next they're going to make a trip to London, and he's going to try to process that. So maybe someday he'll put them on display, but not right now.
Well, if you brought them out for the cover shoot, 23 gold medals. I don't know if you were there, but what kind of a strain on the neck would that be just for that cover shot that is going to be on the magazine?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but I talked to a lot of the people that weren't. Of course, I talked to Michael about it, and when we were talking, we were together 2 or 3 times over a couple-day period. And at one point, I said to him, he talked about traveling around the country with the medals at that time to get them to New York for the SI shoot, and he said they were just in a bag, and a couple times people would say, "Can I take that for you?" He said, "No, I got it. I got these." And he also, I said to him, those 28 medals are all laid out there. I said, can you look at them and something comes to mind? He said, sure. Every single one has a memory. I look at the one in Athens on my first one, and I remember, shaking hands with my mother through a chain link fence right after that. And, I remember the one where I touched out Kavich in Beijing to win the 100-meter butterfly. It's such a close margin. I remember that moment. But I said, well, how about all of them together? And he said, no, I can't process 28 medals. I I can't get my arms around it. I don't know what it. I still don't understand how it happened or what it means.